My fair share is over there. It's Rhyme and Reason 808.
There's a rhyme and reason for your life. There's a rhyme and reason why you're here.
Hey there, Tony here, and oh yeah, you better believe I'm getting my fair share. That's all there is to it. And I don't care how many rich people have to ante up till I get it too. Because, well, you want to know why? Because I'm an American. Simple as that. And I want my piece of the American dream. Not to mention the pie. I earned it. It's my birthright as an American citizen. And by golly, I'm gonna get it. My fair share. So I'm gonna vote for candidates, those people who run for office and do what we want them to do. The kind I'm gonna vote for are the ones who are gonna make sure that I get my fair share. Did I mention I'm getting my fair share? Because I'm getting it, by golly. Because voting is not only my right, it's also my duty. So my duty is to make sure the government keeps things fair, with a capital fair. Sometimes that means you got to take more from those who have more and give it to those who have less, and who could possibly argue with that flawless logic. Flawless, yes. Well, evidently some fools believe they can argue with that flawless logic. Yeah, can you imagine? And those fools even include a former American president. This is crazy. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't looked up the information. Would you believe we've actually had someone in the highest office in our land who did not believe democracy is awesome? It's true. I actually shared his view on the subject about 10 years ago, and this is 2023, so let's see, 10 years from 2023. I don't know, it'd be a long time ago. Anyway, America's second president, John Adams, and that's even, that's even further than 10 years ago if I think about it. Let's see. Second president, we've had 45 presidents, yeah. And you might be saying, Tony, we've had 46 presidents. Well, you can think that if you want, but we've had 45 presidents. Actually, now I think about it, I don't know if I can actually say 45 with a straight face, but we definitely haven't had 46. So anyway, got in a little rabbit hole there, didn't I? Well, what did John Adams, our second president, say? To quote me as I wrote what I was quoting about John Adams. It's getting confusing here. Okay, let me just read this then. America's second president, John Adams, had multiple negative things to say about the democratic system. He talked about how a democracy, and this is quoting John, soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself. There is never a democracy that did not commit suicide. Whoa, what a fool, right? How could a president take himself seriously and say something like that? And I hear a lot of modern day so-called conservatives, they laud the Constitution. They give it praise. Heap praise on the Constitution as our source of enlightenment and freedoms. And President Adams said this about that. Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. A moral and religious people? He said, it is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other kinds of people is what that means. So, 10 years ago, and even decades ago, yes, decades ago, I wrote negative things about the form of government we have. I did. I know that's not a popular opinion because, Americans have been raised to believe democracy is the hottest brand going, borrowing from Conoco there. And maybe you've heard this quote. It's attributed to Alexander Fraser Tytler or Tytler. It looks more like Tytler because it's Tytler and sounds nicer to say it that way. So a Scottish judge, historian and writer, Alexander Tytler, said, "A democracy cannot exist as a permanent form of government. It can only exist until the voters discover that they can vote themselves largesse, or largesse if you prefer, from the public treasury. From that moment on, the majority always votes for the candidates promising the most benefits from the public treasury, with the result that a democracy always collapses over loose fiscal policy, always followed by a dictatorship. The average age of the world's greatest civilizations has been 200 years. Whoa, that's starting to sound a little bit serious now. Kind of wondering if my, get my fair share attitude is, well, I don't know. Let me see what else I had here. So based on Tytler's assessment of democracy, I'd say America is mighty close to that dictatorship phase because our multi-trillion-dollar deficit is clear evidence of our loose fiscal policy, as he said. But, hey, as long as the government gets me my fair share, who cares, right? Yeah, I'm going back to that. So here's the thing. It's important to elect Robin Hood politicians. Yeah, learn from Robin Hood. Give them the power to take from those filthy rich people, and let's spread that wealth around, right? Because we, the people, are the bosses, and those politicians work for us, right? They work for us. Yeah, you work for us. How many times have I heard that? Right. Well, here's what Mr. Tytler had to say about that notion. The people flatter themselves that they have the sovereign power. These are, in fact, words without meaning. If you truly believe your vote has the power to change your country for the better, you're running with your eyes closed. There's a song by Don Henley that sings something like that. Anyway, rabbit hole. Back on track, Tony. Especially in the light of the fact that America currently has a person with dementia installed, so-called, in the highest office in the land. And another person high on laughing gas is installed in the second highest office in the land. These are what I would call moronic marionettes. Moronic marionettes. I love that. I love alliteration, so of course I love that. But at least those moronic marionettes have puppeteers who will manipulate them into doing what's necessary to get me my fair share. And that's all I and all other good democratic citizens need for a good life in this world. Can I get an amen? Excuse me, sir, would you hand me my fair share? Yeah, that rich guy has it right over there. I'll be sure to vote for you when you do, because I know your promises are true. Okay, hopefully you got the parody involved in this. I don't want my fair share given to me from some government office who took it from somebody else to give it to me. I don't want that. I want to be able to work hard and produce good things all the days of my life. The very last day I'm on planet Earth, however long that I'm still here, I hope I had a good, productive day and maybe fell asleep or whatever. Everything quit working on me and I went home to be with the Lord, but I had a good, productive day that day. I hope that's the way it is. Yeah, we don't have guarantees, but that's what I asked the Lord for. Help me to be productive all the days of my life and do well and serve my fellow man. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rhyme and Reason podcast. It's always brought to you by TonyFunderburk.com. That's TonyFunderburk.com. You might want to slow down the playback on that and listen to it, and there you'll have it. Anyway, as always, remember, life has rhyme and reason because God made you.
There's a rhyme and reason for your life. There's a rhyme and reason why you're here. Give your time and see